The DOGE-led effort to drastically shrink the government workforce is really impacting Veterans Affairs employees. Just last week, more than 1,000 workers there who did not take the deferred resignation package were fired. Many were probationary employees who had served less than 1 to 2 years in the department. They had fewer job protections. They didn't have the right to appeal. Workers who were allegedly underperforming also targeted. The Trump administration claiming the move would save the department more than $98 million a year. Andrew Lennox is a Marine veteran who spent 10 years serving. He was fired from a supervisor training program at the VA Medical Center in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Andrew, thank you so much for being with us. First off, I just want to understand something, because the grounds for termination in your case and so many others is basically a question of whether your continued employment was in the, quote, public interest. What is your reaction to that?
So yeah, that's the exact language that was on the termination notification. It's my reaction at first. It was surprise, disbelief, and I mean, this morning as I packed up my office, it's anger, because it said, I was terminated for my performance. I haven't even had a performance review. Nobody consulted any supervisors or even the director of our hospital before making these terminations.
So tell me about your job and why you wanted to work at the VA.
Yeah, so I spent 10 years in the Marine Corps. I loved it. Greatest job I ever had. And I made the decision to transition into the civilian world. And for a little bit, I worked in civilian jobs. I was at a pharmaceutical company for a little bit, and they sent me to a military-friendly employers conference. And I ended up sharing a table with some Veterans Affairs social workers. There's a Marine Corps vet, and he was telling me about the work he does, and like looking at that group of people and the organizations that get back to veterans, I made the decision that is what I want to do. I want to continue serving my country, and I thought there'd be no better way than helping veterans, my family, the people that gave me so much. I'd like to give back, and my role there is administrative officer for our primary care department of the hospital. So it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. It's kind of eliminating the red tape and friction that just comes into healthcare, as far as like scheduling doctors, the patients, making sure wait times are short, scheduling vacation, pay, ordering equipment, all these things that we try and take the administrative burden off of the doctors and the nurses and the care providers to get veterans treated, as quickly and effectively as possible.
Yeah. So you have the VA Secretary Doug Collins saying that these firings will not negatively impact VA healthcare. What's your reaction to that?
He didn't ask my supervisor that. He didn't give me time to do a proper transition of duties to people that would be covering down on what I was supposed to. We didn't get to pass my access to different, networks and databases. I had no time to make sure that I left the job with a proper transition. So there wasn't a gap in treatment or service. I had to come in after I was fired to make sure that my team had all of the information until they cut my access to my government email and phone at 5 p.m. Friday evening.
Do you get, I think a lot of people don't realize that almost a third of the federal workforce is veterans. Do you get the impression as you hear just people, Americans talking about federal workers, politicians talking about federal workers, that there's an understanding of who federal workers are?
Yeah, I think it's something that's kind of, it's grown as far as like the evil bureaucracy. The words that are being thrown around are, parasitic, lazy, unproductive. And like, we're hearing these words, but again, and I had limited experience with the VA before I worked there. And then seeing the men and women that are dedicating their lives, they're not making the most money doing this. They're doing it for, different reasons. Especially our doctors, our administrators, these highly trained, highly skilled people have made this decision to serve. Like, these are the parasites. These are the lazy, unproductive, employees that you're hearing, politicians and other media outlets say. There's combat veterans. There's survivors, whose family members passed away, in service to this country. It's your neighbors. These are not the evil bureaucrats you think that are just gumming up the system and living off the system. We want to work hard. We want to help people. And it's for, it's across the board for all federal agencies, but it's easy to paint them as an enemy in this situation.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for your service in the Marine Corps. Thank you for your service at the VA. We really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. And I just like to say a lot of the times the word layoff is being thrown around for what's happening. I want to be clear, these are terminations. We've been denied the protections that most people get during reductions in force, and we were terminated due to a technicality that they found a loophole. And it's my belief that it's a matter of time until they find more loopholes to deny more people their benefits and the services that we enjoy from the federal government.
That is a concern broadly held by people even still who are employed in the federal workforce. I've been hearing it. Andrew, again, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.